Exciting times in Happy Valley. Penn State has a lot of guys that made the All Big Ten Conference, Mike. They finished up a great season, 11-1. I think at the beginning of the year, nobody would have thought they were going to do that well. Michigan State, impressive, went 49-18, Mike. But I'm looking at the rankings, and Penn State really didn't change at all. After a good win against a 15th-ranked team in Michigan State, they didn't really move up. So my question to you, Mike, is how much has the Big Ten, which is sort of the conference sort of in a decline this year, how much has that hurt Penn State this year?
Oh, I think it's hurt them a lot in terms of national picture and the voters in the polls.
Okay.
No question. And I think I'm not just going to say this year. I'm going to say Ohio State's performances in the last two national championship games has given this. I'll just give you an example. Bill Plaschke of the Los Angeles Times wrote a column over the weekend about USC saying it will do them no good to play in the Rose Bowl because what's the point of beating the hay out of some slow Midwestern kids for the fourth time in 6 years. That's the perception that's out there. Penn State, judging by the All Big Ten team, they got tremendous respect within the Big Ten, but outside of it, think about it now. If you look at the top 20 in the BCS, Penn State has played three of those teams that are currently in the top 20, Ohio State, Oregon State, Michigan State. Killed two of them, and the other one was on the road. They're 3-0, and they killed two of them, and the other one was on the road.
Yeah, something that matters.
They win their biggest game of the year by 31 points. Texas Tech loses its biggest game of the year by 42 points, and Texas Tech stays ahead of Penn State in the rankings.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know if it doesn't make any sense because I'm not sure people are entirely wrong about the Big Ten. It's not a great league. It certainly has not been great in the last few years. Generally speaking, but it seems like Penn State is getting a little bit of a raw deal. You know, we construct these scenarios about, and we're going to get into this later, but Penn State now at the point where they cannot pass Utah, for example, because both of their seasons are over.
And Utah's undefeated, but they haven't played the same kind of schedule.
I mean, if you're going to say Penn State's hurt by the Big Ten, Utah ought to be hurt by being in the Mountain West.
You would think. Yeah. The schedule is. And as Penn State has played three teams, like you're saying, that are ranked. Texas Tech's played teams that are ranked too, and they haven't beaten them all. You know?
Well, right, and another thing is Iowa right now is probably a team that could play with half the teams in that top 25 of the BCS, and they lose to them on the road by 1 point, and that's the only thing. You know, it's. You don't want to come off like a Penn State fan or a homer or anything like that. But this seems like they are kind of the odd man out this year in a way that I'm not sure is entirely indicative of how good they are.
Penn State did have 10 players make first team All Big Ten.
Amazing.
And their offensive line, how many guys made it there, Mike?
Well, three of them made the first team. A.Q. Shipley, the center, was the offensive lineman of the year in the conference. And all five, their entire offensive line at least made honorable mention.
Very impressive. And, a lot of their success, I mean, granted, their quarterback played well, the receivers are excellent, but that offensive
no doubt.
line.
And veteran guys. You know, you look at Penn State on paper going into next year. I mean, maybe it's nuts to talk about next year already, but it looks pretty good on paper, but they've got to replace almost that entire offensive line.
At least three of them are seniors.
That's going to be difficult.